The diamond ring landed at Safiya Bennett's feet before the bride ever reached the altar. 100 cameras were already streaming the Beaumont Foundation gala when Celeste pointed at the black maid in the navy uniform and laughed. "Pick it up," she ordered. "That is the closest a woman like you will ever come to wearing one." The ballroom went silent. Safiya looked down at the 12-carat ring sparkling beside her shoe. Then she looked at billionaire Callum Beaumont, standing beneath the white rose arch with disbelief tightening his face. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us which city or country you are watching from, because one cruel joke was about to destroy the wedding everyone had paid to see. Safiya bent down, but she did not touch the ring. "I think Miss Armand should collect her own property." Celeste's smile sharpened. "You are being paid to serve. I am being paid to manage the ballroom staff, not cruel for you." Several guests lowered their champagne glasses. Celeste had spent months presenting herself as the elegant future face of the Beaumont Foundation. Tonight's event was being broadcast to donors in 12 countries. She could not tolerate a maid refusing her publicly. Celeste stepped closer. "Look at you. That uniform, that hair, that skin. Did you honestly think Callum noticed you because you were special?" Safiya's deep brown face remained calm. "I never said he noticed me. You did not need to. Everyone sees how you look at him." Callum moved from the altar. "That is enough." Celeste turned to him with a wounded expression. "She has been disrespecting me all evening." Safiya answered quietly. "I corrected the donor seating chart after she removed 6 scholarship recipients from the front tables." Whispers moved through the ballroom. The 6 students stood near the kitchen entrance, still holding invitations that had suddenly been declared invalid. Celeste waved one hand. "This is our wedding announcement, not a charity parade." "It is a foundation gala," Safiya said. "Their stories raised half the money in this room." Callum looked toward the students. "Who moved them?" The event coordinator avoided his eyes. "Miss Armand requested it." Celeste's face hardened. "You are questioning your future wife because a maid wants attention?" "No," Callum said. "I am questioning why my guests were treated like decorations until the cameras arrived." Celeste stared at Safiya. Then she laughed again, louder this time. "Fine. Let us give her the attention she wants." She picked up the ring and held it between 2 fingers. "No billionaire would marry a black maid like you." Some guests gasped. Others looked toward the live cameras, realizing the insult had already reached thousands of viewers. Safiya did not flinch. "You are probably right about most billionaires." Callum's eyes moved to her. "But I would rather remain unmarried than become someone's proof that money can purchase dignity." Celeste's smile vanished. "Security, remove her." No guards moved. Callum extended his hand. "Give me the ring." Celeste hesitated. "Callum, she is provoking you." "The ring." She placed it in his palm. He crossed the ballroom and stopped in front of Safiya. She shook her head before he spoke. "Do not use me to embarrass her." "I am not." "You are angry." "I have been angry for months. Tonight I finally understood why." He took Safiya's right hand. The room held its breath. Callum slid Celeste's ring onto Safiya's finger. Camera flashes exploded. Celeste made a broken sound. Safiya immediately tried to remove it, but Callum closed his hand gently over hers. "This ring belonged to my grandmother before my family redesigned it for this engagement," he said. "She left instructions that it should never remain with a woman who humiliates people beneath her." Celeste rushed forward. "You cannot put my ring on a servant." Callum looked at her. "It stopped being yours when you showed me who you are." Safiya pulled her hand free. "I will not become your public revenge." "You are not." "Then tell everyone the truth." Callum looked toward the live cameras. "The engagement is over." The ballroom erupted. Celeste's father rose from the front table, shouting for the broadcast to be stopped. Instead, every screen switched to a live social media feed. Clips of Celeste's insult were spreading faster than the foundation team could remove them. Then another video appeared. It showed Safiya entering Callum's private suite at 2 in the morning 3 weeks earlier. Celeste smiled through her tears. Now tell them why the maid was in your bedroom. Safiya went still. Callum stared at the footage. The timestamp was real. But the woman entering the suite was not Safiya. She wore Safiya's uniform and hairstyle, yet a pale scar crossed the back of her neck. Safiya recognized it. Her younger sister, Imani, had the same scar. Imani had disappeared 4 years earlier after accepting a job from Celeste's family. No one in the room understood why Safiya suddenly looked terrified. She had searched hospitals, shelters, and employment records for years, while Celeste repeatedly insisted her family had never hired anyone named Imani Bennett at all. Before Safiya could speak, the ballroom doors opened. A woman in a bridal veil stepped inside. She had Safiya's face. And on her left hand was a wedding band engraved with Callum's name. "I am his wife," she announced. "And the maid stole my life." The woman in the bridal veil stopped. Callum stared at the wedding band engraved with his name. Safiya could not look away from the scar behind the stranger's left ear. "Imani?" The woman's eyes filled, but her voice remained cold. "That is the name she buried." Celeste moved beside her immediately. "Tell them who you really are." The veiled woman lifted a folder. "My name is Amora Beaumont. I married Callum 4 years ago in Geneva." The ballroom erupted. Callum stepped forward. "I have never seen you before tonight." She opened the folder and displayed a marriage certificate bearing his signature. Safiya took one look and felt the floor shift beneath her. The witness signature belonged to her. "I never signed that." Amora smiled bitterly. "You signed many things while stealing my identity." Safiya looked at Celeste. "You brought her here. I brought the truth here." Callum took the certificate from Amora. The date matched a trip to Switzerland from which 3 days were missing from his memory. Celeste's father, Roland Armand, stood from the front table. "You were married under a confidential medical agreement." Callum faced him. "To whom?" Roland pointed at Safiya. "To the woman who called herself Imani Bennett." Safiya shook her head. "My sister disappeared before that date." "Exactly," Roland said. "Because she became Mrs. Beaumont." The woman removed her veil, revealing faint surgical scars along her jaw. Safiya moved closer. "What did they do to you?" Amora's expression cracked. "You ask that as though you were not there." Celeste touched Amora's shoulder. "Do not let her confuse you." Safiya saw the fear hidden beneath her sister's anger. Nothing about her prepared accusation felt voluntary. Callum held up the certificate. "My signature is real." His attorney examined it. "The biometric seal is also genuine." Celeste's confidence returned. "If Callum is already married, every agreement he signed while courting me becomes invalid. The foundation shares return to the Armand Trust." Callum looked at her. "This was never about marrying me. It was about correcting what your family stole." Safiya examined the document again. A small serial number appeared beneath her supposed witness signature. She recognized the format from Beaumont Foundation scholarship files. "This paper was issued by your medical program," she told Callum. His attorney checked the number. "She is right. It came from the Beaumont Neurological Institute." Amora stepped backward. Roland's smile disappeared. Callum turned toward the large ballroom screens. "Show all medical admissions from that date." The technician hesitated. "Those files are sealed." "Open them." Celeste shouted, "You cannot expose patient records publicly. You exposed a marriage certificate publicly." The database showed one patient admitted as Amora Beaumont. Roland was her emergency contact. Celeste's uncle, Dr. Gavin Sloan, was the physician. Safiya faced Celeste. "Your family created this marriage." Amora suddenly grabbed Safiya's wrist. "Stop pretending you saved me." Her sleeve slipped, revealing a black barcode tattooed above her pulse. Safiya recognized it from the video recorded outside Callum's suite. "Imani, listen to me. My name is not Imani. You used to sleep with a light on after the apartment fire. You hated cinnamon. You called me Fia because you could not say Safiya." Amora's grip weakened. Recognition crossed her face. Then an alarm sounded inside the ballroom. The tattoo began flashing beneath her skin. Amora screamed and collapsed. Safiya caught her. Trauma surgeon Helena Moss rushed forward. There is an implant in her wrist. Callum ordered medical equipment. Celeste backed toward the doors. Security blocked her. What happens when the implant activates? Safiya demanded. Roland looked toward the ceiling. That depends on whether she remembers the correct life. Amora convulsed in Safiya's arms. The screens switched to a pre-recorded video. Dr. Gavin Sloan appeared inside a white laboratory. If subject Amora displays recognition of Safiya Bennett, memory correction protocol will begin. A countdown started at 5 minutes. Safiya faced Celeste. You programmed her to forget me. Celeste lifted her chin. She was unstable. My uncle gave her a purpose. You stole her face and called it treatment. Callum crouched beside Amora. How do we stop the implant? Helena examined it. It is receiving a signal from somewhere inside the estate. Security traced the transmission. It is coming from the bridal suite. Celeste smiled. You should not have ended the engagement before the ceremony. Callum stood. What is in that room? The device that proves which sister is the fraud. Amora's breathing had become dangerously shallow. I'm going, Safiya said. Callum moved with her. Celeste blocked the staircase. The scanner requires the black maid alone. Safiya stepped close. You have already called me ugly, poor, jealous, and unworthy. None of it made me afraid of you. Celeste's smile vanished. Safiya ran upstairs. The bridal suite recognized her face and opened. Inside, there was no wedding dress. 2 medical chairs stood beneath cameras. One was labeled Safiya. The other was labeled Imani. Between them stood a reconstruction machine holding both sisters' facial molds. A monitor requested Safiya's palm. She pressed it. The countdown stopped at 2 minutes. A message appeared. Identity restoration requires original memory file. A hidden drawer opened. Inside were drives dated throughout Imani's missing years. Safiya inserted the oldest one. A video appeared. Imani sat restrained in a clinic while Roland dictated answers. What is your sister's greatest weakness? She believes people can be redeemed. Who does Callum Beaumont love? Safiya. Then who must disappear before he can marry her? Imani began crying. I do. Safiya recoiled. Celeste had not created Amora to steal Callum. They had created her to make Safiya vanish. A door locked behind her. Roland entered holding a syringe. You were always the intended bride, he said. Callum's grandmother chose you years ago. Celeste was only meant to keep him occupied until your sister was ready. Safiya backed toward the machine. Why would his grandmother choose me? Because your mother owned half the Beaumont Foundation. Downstairs, the implant countdown restarted. 90 seconds. Roland raised the syringe. If you die under Imani's name, your sister inherits your identity. She marries Callum, signs over the foundation, and the Armands control everything. Safiya grabbed a metal facial mold and swung it into his wrist. The syringe flew across the room. Roland lunged. She struck the emergency release on Imani's chair. Every memory drive uploaded to the ballroom screens. Guests saw years of forced surgery and forged documents. Celeste screamed for the broadcast to stop. Callum looked at her. You knew they were rebuilding Imani to replace Safiya. I knew my father had a contingency. Amora opened her eyes. Her implant flashed red. The final memory file began playing. It showed Callum in the Geneva clinic, conscious and holding Safiya's hand. I know who she is, he told Dr. Sloan. Erase my memory before Roland finds out I chose her. Safiya stared at the screen. Callum had known her before tonight. And he had asked to forget her. Then the bridal suite wall opened. Behind it stood Callum's grandmother, believed dead for 10 years, wearing Safiya's mother's wedding ring. She looked at Safiya in front of everyone and said, You were never meant to become his maid. You were meant to become his wife. Callum's grandmother stepped into the bridal suite. Evelyn Beaumont had been declared dead after a private plane vanished 10 years earlier. Yet she stood before Safiya now, older and thinner, but unmistakably alive. On her right hand was the wedding ring that had belonged to Safiya's mother. Safiya forgot Roland lying near the reconstruction machine. "Where did you get that?" Evelyn looked at the ring. "Your mother gave it to me the night the Armands tried to erase both our families." Below them, the ballroom broadcast carried every word. Callum stared at the screen. "Grandmother?" Evelyn looked toward the camera. "You were told I died because Roland needed control of your inheritance. I survived, but remaining dead was the only way to keep him from finding Safiya." Roland pushed himself upright. "You kept yourself hidden while we rebuilt everything." "No," Evelyn said. "You rebuilt people." Safiya glanced at the medical chairs, facial molds, and drives containing years of Imani's stolen memories. Evelyn took Safiya's hand. "Your mother, Lillian Bennett, co-founded the Beaumont Foundation. She created the scholarship hospitals, worker clinics, and trust that prevented one family from owning them. Then why did I grow up believing she was a hotel cleaner? After she discovered the Armands were using foundation clinics for identity experiments, she changed both your names and disappeared." Safiya looked at Imani lying in the ballroom. "My sister paid for that disappearance." Evelyn lowered her eyes. "Yes." Safiya pulled her hand away. "You knew she was alive." "I knew she had been taken. I did not know where. For 4 years. I searched. You stayed dead while I searched alone." Evelyn accepted the accusation. Behind them, Roland reached toward the fallen syringe. Safiya saw his reflection in a mirrored facial mold. She pulled Evelyn aside as Roland lunged. The needle struck the machine. A warning flashed. Facial reconstruction cycle activated. Metal molds began closing around the empty chair. Roland ran toward the exit, but the door remained locked. Evelyn pressed the wall panel. "Release the ballroom first." The system requested 3 authorizations. Founder. Heir. Legal spouse. Evelyn placed her palm on the founder scanner. Founder verified. Safiya pressed hers to the second. Heir verified. The third remained red. Legal spouse required. Safiya looked at Callum standing beneath the rose arch, staring at the wedding band on Imani's finger. "I'm not his spouse." Evelyn answered carefully. "Not yet." Safiya hardened. "I will not marry anyone because a machine says so." "You shouldn't." "Then why build this?" "I didn't." Roland added the marriage lock after stealing control of the trust. Roland laughed. "You can expose every file and still lose. The system only recognizes a Beaumont marriage." Callum picked up the ballroom microphone. "Can it recognize a rejection? If spoken by the person whose signature created the original marriage file?" "Mine." "You signed it before your memory was erased." Safiya stared at the Geneva recording. Callum had chosen her once, then asked doctors to remove the memory to protect her. Callum placed his hand on the altar scanner. "My name is Callum Beaumont. I reject every marriage, engagement, contract, and identity transfer created without free consent." The third light flickered. Legal spouse status disputed. The bridal suite door unlocked. But the ballroom remained sealed. Roland smiled. "You rejected the false marriage. You did not restore the real one." Safiya picked up the fallen syringe with a cloth. "What is this?" Evelyn examined the label. "Memory separation serum. Can it reverse what they did to Callum? If his original memory file exists." An alarm came from the ballroom. Imani's implant had restarted. Memory correction, final stage. Dr. Helena Moss shouted that Imani's pulse was dropping. Safiya searched the drives. One was labeled Callum B, voluntary erasure. She inserted it. The screen requested Callum's last true promise. Evelyn looked at Safiya. "Do you remember what he told you in Geneva?" "I wasn't there." "You were." Safiya shook her head. "I had never met him before working here." Roland laughed. "They erased you too." Safiya looked at Evelyn. "My memories were altered." Only 3 days. You and Callum met in Geneva after Lillian sent you to retrieve the foundation records. Roland found you before you escaped. Safiya touched the scar behind her ear. It matched the implant scar on Imani. Callum's voice came through the speakers. What was the promise? Evelyn answered. You promised that if one forgot, the other would never force the truth. Safiya closed her eyes. A fragment surfaced. Rain against a clinic window. Callum holding her hand. A silver ring between them. His voice saying, I will find you without being told to. Safiya typed. I will find you without being told. The drive opened. A video showed Safiya and Callum inside the Geneva clinic. They were not marrying. They were signing a mutual protection agreement, making each other temporary trustees if either disappeared. Callum looked younger and frightened. Roland entered with armed guards. Callum told Safiya to run. She refused. Then Dr. Gavin Sloane injected them. The final seconds showed Callum waking first. Erase my memory, he said. If I remember her, Roland will use me to find her. Safiya's recorded voice answered weakly. Then erase mine too. The video ended. In the ballroom, Callum lowered his head. You chose it too. Safiya stared at her younger self. I chose survival. I didn't choose what happened afterward. Evelyn inserted the drive into the reconstruction console. This contains the original neural signatures for both of you. It may stabilize Imani's implant. How? The machine was built to separate identities. It can restore them if all 3 original signatures connect. 3. You, Imani, and Callum. Roland's face changed. You cannot connect them without killing one. Evelyn opened a hidden panel beneath the founder scanner. An older circuit glowed inside. That was the rule you added. The original system compared memories. It did not transfer them. Safiya spoke through the microphone. Bring Imani and Callum upstairs. Security moved immediately. Celeste tried to follow, but officers restrained her. You still need me, she shouted. The bride channel carries my biometric seal. Callum stopped. Safiya looked at Evelyn. Does she? The Armand seal is embedded in the false marriage layer. Removing it may erase evidence of what they did to Imani. Celeste smiled. No evidence, no charges. Imani was carried into the suite on a stretcher. Callum entered behind her. For the first time, he and Safiya stood close without an audience between them. He looked at the ring on her finger. You can remove it. She did. Celeste's diamond rolled across the floor and stopped beside Roland. Safiya took Imani's hand. The machine opened 3 interface ports. Evelyn connected Callum's drive to the first, Safiya's implant scar to the second, and Imani's wrist chip to the third. Celeste remained visible on the ballroom feed. Safiya picked up the microphone. Celeste, revoke your seal. Release my father. No. Then your sister dies with my name inside her. Callum studied the screen. What happens if I complete the original protection agreement with Safiya? It could override Celeste's seal. Safiya stepped back. No ceremony. No marriage under threat. Then not marriage. He opened the old Geneva document. A temporary trusteeship. Freely chosen. Nothing more. Safiya read every line. It granted no romantic claim, inheritance, or authority over either person. She placed her palm beside Callum's. We agree only to protect each other's legal identity until the investigation ends. Callum repeated it. Original protection agreement restored. Celeste's seal turned grey. She screamed as the system removed her access. The machine activated. Imani convulsed. Safiya held her hand while images flashed across the monitors. Birthdays, clinics, forced surgeries, Geneva rain, Celeste rehearsing insults, Roland dictating memories. Then the machine stopped. Imani opened her eyes. She looked at Safiya. Fia. Safiya broke into tears. I'm here. Imani looked at Callum. I was never your wife. I know. She touched the wedding band. They made me wear it whenever they needed me to believe the story. Safiya removed it gently. Identities separated. For one moment, everyone believed it was over. Then Imani looked toward Evelyn. "Where is our mother?" Evelyn's face changed. "You said she died after sending Safiya to Geneva," Imani continued. "That was another implanted memory." Safiya turned sharply. "Lillian is alive." Roland began laughing. Evelyn looked toward him with fear. He pulled a transmitter from his cuff and pressed it. Every screen switched to a live underground feed. Safiya's mother stood inside a glass chamber beneath the ballroom, holding a newborn baby. Celeste appeared beside her, no longer restrained. Security guards lay unconscious behind them. Celeste looked into the camera. "You restored the wrong sister." She lifted the child. "This is the only heir the trust will recognize now." Callum stared at the baby. No one there understood how that could be possible. Around its wrist was a hospital band bearing his name as the father. Beneath it was Safiya's name as the mother. Safiya stared at the hospital band around the baby's wrist. Her name. Callum's name. "That child is not ours," she said. Celeste smiled through the underground camera. "Biology is not the only thing the trust recognizes. It recognizes declared parentage." Lillian Bennett pressed one hand against the glass chamber. Celeste forged the birth record. Roland shouted from the bridal suite, "Be quiet." Callum opened the restored trusteeship file. "The trust requires a live maternal statement." Safiya looked at the microphone. "Then let my mother speak." Evelyn entered the founder code, unlocking the underground audio channel. Lillian's voice filled every room. "My daughter Safiya never gave birth to this child. Celeste and Roland kidnapped the baby from a foundation clinic and attached false parents to seize control." The hospital band flashed red. "Parentage disputed." Celeste grabbed the child and backed toward the chamber door. "If the baby loses heir status, no one leaves." Imani studied the monitor. The glass chamber uses the same identity scanner as the reconstruction machine. Safiya pressed her palm to the console. "Release Lillian Bennett and the child." Access denied. Callum placed his hand beside hers. The original protection agreement turned green. Access granted. The chamber opened. Lillian pulled the baby from Celeste's arms and ran toward security. Celeste lunged after them, but officers entered through the service tunnel and restrained her. Roland tried to destroy the memory drives. Imani blocked him, and Callum's guards forced him to the floor. The trust erased the false parentage record and exposed every clinic involved in identity replacement. Celeste, Roland, and Dr. Sloan were charged with kidnapping, medical abuse, fraud, and conspiracy. Evelyn admitted hiding evidence and surrendered control of the foundation. At trial, the gala recording became evidence. Celeste watched her insult play before the jury, followed by the moment Callum placed the ring on Safiya's hand. What she intended as humiliation became proof of motive, prejudice, and a conspiracy built on believing Safiya would never be heard again. The baby was returned to her real mother, a nurse whose identity had also been stolen. Safiya reunited with Lillian and Imani, though healing came slowly. They had survived different lies and needed time to become a family again. Callum dissolved every marriage clause connected to the foundation. The assets were placed into a public trust controlled by patients, workers, and victims. Months later, Safiya stood in the same ballroom where Celeste had mocked her. She wore no uniform. Callum approached with his grandmother's ring, but he did not kneel. "This is not a proposal," he said. "Not yet." Safiya smiled. "Good. It is an apology for placing it on you without asking." He offered the ring back to the foundation archive. Then he asked her to dinner. One dinner, she agreed. The night had begun with Celeste declaring that no billionaire would marry a black maid. It ended with Safiya refusing to be chosen as anyone's revenge. She would be loved only freely, equally, and without shame.